the play. No. Alright, I guess we're going to 5. I'm beginning to get the impression Magic says time to go to sleep. Some days that seems to be what the game wants to tell you. Our opponent kept a hand of 7 cards. This hand does have Behold the Multiverse, and some scries. Probably not supposed to keep the Fading Hopes. Okay, this is Magic cards. Get rid of Break Expectations, get rid of Fading Hope. Fortunately, Seagate Restoration is kind of a really bad Magic card when you mulligan to 5, but I guess that's our plan. Despair Sentinel. Okay. Play Clearwater Pathway. Play Geistchanneler. Discount Seagate Restoration. Try to get to 5 mana. Eventually. Hope the opponent doesn't kill us in the meantime. Okay, okay. My opponent is playing out a series of cards that are not immediately threatening, but probably become threatening very quickly. Would you consider keeping Fading Hope over Lier for Geistchanneler Fading Hope shenanigans? I don't think that works particularly well with Seagate Restoration. Well, maybe it does. If we found enough blue sources fast enough. The problem with the Seagate Restoration here really is that I'm going to have to keep a bunch of cards in hand to make it actually draw anything. Ooh, Tenacious Pup with Despair Sentinel is an interesting... But Tenacious Pup doesn't curve into Magda, and Despair Sentinel plus Magda is what I want to be doing if I'm playing Despair Sentinel. But, like, Despair Sentinel lost a lot of its power when it didn't have Edgewalling Keeper. Oh, Behold the Multiverse is a very good draw. Probably the best in the deck. I'm really happy that's not a key to the archives right now. Because it actually puts cards in our hand for Seagate Restoration. I suppose I should also be happy that my opponent kept 7 and is missing all their land drops. That is nice. It's giving us a lot of time to get back into this. Alright, draw some cards. That's a blue source. That's definitely technically a blue source. You know what? Works for me. Divide by 0 puts a card back in our hand. So if we bounce Ranger class, we can cast Seagate Restoration next turn. If we hit an untapped blue source instead of this Hall of the Storm Giants, I think I'm just casting Seagate Restoration this turn. We need a tapped blue source. Okay. Well, we got our Seagate Restoration next turn. And provided things don't go too horribly, our life total is still relatively stable. Anybody want to try to figure out how much life Geistchanneler has given us over the course of this game? A green source, not red. Interesting. Okay. I guess they have Despair Sentinels to fix their mana? I probably can't actually afford to bounce this Ranger class now that they've made another land drop, because I'm probably going to have to bounce something big that they play post-combat now, that they have access to 4 mana. We could divide by 0 the Prosperous Innkeeper, I suppose. Yeah, why not? It gets rid of the Tenacious Pup counter, if that matters at all. But also, like, denies them 2 additional mana here. Okay, we're gonna go with Mascot Exhibition because I'm making my 6th land next turn anyway. Sure, spend all the mana on a 1/1 that makes a treasure. We draw 5 cards. Would love to find any of those board wipes. I know we got some of them. I'm pretty sure we have some of them. Alrighty. Well, we can play Mascot Exhibition. That buys a lot of time. We have quite a few chump blockers, but the opponent also has a billion mana. Okay, Showdown of the Skalds is like the least scary thing I can imagine. I love it. Oh, they are just a fully 3-color list, huh? I think we sack the Geistchanneler here. If I do end up casting Mascot Exhibition, it gains a lot more life, and if I find a board wipe, it also has gained a lot more life. We've not found a board wipe. Showdown of the Skalds goes off next turn. Opponent has 3, 8, 10. Not entirely unlikely they can just find a way to kill us. $11 with the Ranger class. So they only need to cast 2 spells with their Showdown of the Skalds. I'm kind of debating if I don't want to cast Mascot Exhibition and want to play Discover the Formula instead for 3 more shots at any of the board wipes that would stabilize here. Because I don't know that Mascot Exhibition buys us any more than a single turn. And that's just not stellar? Yeah, okay. I mean, we can discover the formula, and there's still a pretty decent number of things we could hit that prevent the opponent from killing us next turn, like an unsummon or a removal spell for the wolf token. Oh, I guess I should have sorcery speeded on the off chance we hit a Geistchanneler, huh? I keep forgetting I actually have sorcery speed spells that interact defensively like that. Although representing mana does force the opponent to play around Hall of the Storm Giants, which means putting more counters on this. And that has a possibility of actually being relevant. Especially if the opponent decides not to attack for lethal. Yeah, opponent only attack for 7. I love it. Okay. I will happily take 7 and just desperately try to hit a board wipe. It's beginning to sound like a familiar refrain. Opponent's board gets very, very wide indeed. I guess the way they've stacked onto the wolf means that I might have a tough time winning even if I find the... what's the name of that thing? Meathook Massacre. Although the fact that they're going wide means that I could gain a lot of life with Meathook Massacre. Blood on the Snow? No. But Meathook Massacre and Infernal Grasp is probably more than good enough. So, wait, no. I can Meathook Massacre for 7, because it costs 1 less and I have an untapped land. And they don't have any mana left. Right. Well, they do, but they're not going to have a Showdown of the Scalds trigger on my turn. I guess if they have Snakeskin Veil, I'm in a lot of trouble. Or at least some trouble. Didn't they have lethal or at least force you to divide by 0 one of their creatures? So they had close to it, except I had Hall of the Storm Giant. So I was representing a lot of ability to mess with that. I think if they had been thinking about Discover the Formula, they might have tried to force me to interact rather than having up the mana for the Discover the Formula. But the other thing they might have been doing was thinking exactly about Meathook Massacre and how they were putting enough counters on a creature that it would live through Meathook Massacre, because I could only cast it for 6, but I could actually do it for 7 with the discount from Discover the Formula. And that means that I'm probably totally stabilized. I would like to get rid of Showdown of the Scalds. I would like to get rid of Welcoming Vampire. And then I think I probably want to cast this Mascot Exhibition. Yeah, they can't Valorous Stance here either. So we get to kill the vampire. Boom, got a treasure chest. Make Mascot Exhibition cheaper so that when we end up playing Lier, we get to flash it back for a little less. Make our land drops because we have Lier in our deck. And from here, we should be pretty good. Alright, well, I'm going to say that this feels nice after a mulligan to 5. Was it better to play Lier there and flashback a kill spell for Welcoming Vampire and flashback Mascot Exhibition? It was, but why would I let something like What's Better stop me from doing What's a Planeswalker? There's some land drops. Alright, never didn't have them. Get rid of that pesky little blocker. And now with Divide by 0 and all the Storm Giants, we were close to lethal, but land gives our opponent some freedom. Let's see. Lier and Infernal Grasp, a Welcoming Vampire. And Divide by 0 Clarion Spirit. And I guess get Teachings of the Archaic. And play a land, and play Mascot Exhibition. And then I guess we're hoping the opponent doesn't have a board wipe. I'm going to assume Concession means the opponent's aggro deck isn't playing board wipes. And since it's an aggro deck, how about we play Meathook Massacre and Infernal Grasp? And Sorin. And cut the Behold the Multiverses, and Break Expectations? Still feels a little weird to keep Break Expectations in against aggro decks. The alternative is playing Hullbreaker Horror, though, and I'm not convinced that this deck is actually as slow as Clerics, so I don't think that that's a viable, nor is Hullbreaker Horror as necessary. I guess we could play Behold the Multiverse instead of Break Expectations. Yeah, you know what, I'm willing to do that. I'm not very excited about Break Expectations against their deck. Righty-doty. We're going to keep this and we're going to draw a Geistchanneler and it'll be fine. Or we can draw a 6-drop. That actually isn't super great, to be honest. How likely is Jwari Disruption to be useful against a Jasperis Sentinel list? Always a tough guess. Okay. Well, Sorin is something to do on 4. We just need to draw into something to do on 3. I would appreciate it if my opponent tried to play something that was Jwari Disruptionable this turn, so that I could actually accomplish anything. Activating Ranger class does not count. Ew. Not good. Land also actually bad. Tough. Opponent attacking with everything. My life total becoming not good. I guess I should be somewhat happy that I don't think they can leave up too much that's terribly effective here on 3 mana. I'm ready to get blown out for the hubris of that statement, but I think the give a target creature indestructible or destroy a creature with toughness 4 or greater is the most likely piece of interaction for them to have left in. And that doesn't interact with the creature that Sorin puts into play well. Guardian of Faith. Okay, that's also bad. Elite Spellbinder probably winds up taking Lier here. I feel like that's my best play next turn. I agree. So they attack with everything except 1 Sentinel and pump the Guardian of Faith. I have no good blocks. Well, I guess I can block the 2/3 Sentinels. Maybe they just don't swing with it. Still, considering how very not good this is playing out for us, I should be happy with how much life Sorin is gaining currently. Everybody face line, huh? I don't love it. I will block the Guardian of Faith to prevent the most damage. Would like to draw Meathook Massacre. We drew Meathook Massacre. Alright. So you're telling me there's a chance. Board wipe to clear everything except Jasperis Sentinel. And then we down tick our Sorin. We got a bunch of life. We got another blocker. And I have the ability to play Discover the Formula next turn. My opponent's mana is no longer super well set up. I think I dig it. I'd like to draw another snow land, so that if we discovered the formula into Blood on the Snow, I could get back Sorin. Is this the moment that we cash in our 2/3? No. I am willing to believe the opponent can't interact with it. I will cash it in one turn later for hopefully slightly more. How does this deck fare against dragons? Pretty well in my experience so far. Dragons just... It's got a decent nut draw when it's on the play, but it falls apart pretty hard to interaction and removal. And this deck has lots of both of those things. Fading Hope, huh? Interesting. Alright, so I can block the Despair Sentinel, go to 2. Alternatively, I could waste a lot of mana and just bounce the Despair Sentinel and eat the Innkeeper. Tempting. Tempting. That's so incredibly mana inefficient, and the opponent could just have interaction. I don't think I can really do that. Would like to find a board wipe and top deck a Snowland. I think that would be ideal. Those cards were useless. The Snowland was cool though, thanks deck. Oh, Infernal Grasp while we're at 2, huh? Do I have a way out of this? I don't believe so, because I die before I gain life from the Meathook Massacre. I guess I should have set an upkeep stop when I hit nothing but Fading Hopes. I might have wanted to try to scry. I guess the trick will be to make the opponent attack correctly. Which is to say, with everything. Well, I got a couple of different ways of stopping 2 things from hitting me. But I don't think I have any outs with Discover the Formula, but let's find out. Yeah, that wouldn't have done it. I guess one board wipe was fair of me to ask. Alright, this time let's actually do some interacting, shall we? I would prefer that, I think. take the play. Really tempting to keep the hand that just wins if we draw a second land. I'm going to be disciplined in mulligan. Okay, alright. This hand is only mostly bad, so I'm willing to believe that it'll draw into something useful. We get a Sorin on 4, so if we just like draw an interactive spell and then land, it would be fine. Drawing a 6-drop was less good. Let's sorcery speed this Behold the Multiverse on the off chance we find a Fading Hope. Ooh, Fading Hope and Blood on the Snow. Alright, I'm willing to keep the Blood on the Snow. I like that. I like that idea. I like that concept. And I kind of want the Clarion Spirit gone before it gets to trigger. I was going to have to Fading Hope something, and I think Clarion Spirit's probably a better option than whatever else they're likely to play next turn, considering that they're so likely to play things that trigger Clarion Spirit. Now, Redain, kind of the opposite of that, but we drew Fading Hope, so I'm going to consider myself lucky. Because we actually got to spend all of our mana pretty effectively. Alright, this time around the opponent finds all of the tax effects. That's going to be a problem. They get rid of my Sorin, and then the Redain also taxes the Sorin, and my deck of only 6 drops does not play well against costing 8 mana. Tricky, tricky, tricky. I think it's a pretty easy choice to take the Sorin here. It makes a 2/3 that blocks the Spellbinder. Really? The board wipe? When you had the Redain? Huh. Okay. Well, works for me. I'm more than happy to actually get to cast spells. Okay, they didn't want to kill my Sorin, huh? There's the one break expectations. It kind of hurts. Still, let's try to hit this land drop. I guess Seagate Restoration is technically hitting the land drop, but I mean, I could shock, play the Geistchanneler, and discount Discover the Formula? Is that in any way a good idea? I'm gonna go with that doesn't actually sound like a good idea, though. Alright, we down-tick Sorin again. I do think I probably want to break expectations, and I probably should have done that before down-ticking the Sorin, but yeah. Kind of all gets to the same spot eventually. You're a Ranger class. I don't want them being able to put a counter on Redain. I don't want them putting a counter on anything, honestly. So now they can't attack with Redain, or we just get to double block it with vampires, and that's great. I think they made a huge mistake not taking Sorin with that original Spellbinder. Because me just having 2 flying 2/3 lifelinkers is so valuable here. Yeah, the Clarion Spiriting continues. My Discover the Formula does cost infinity billion mana, as does Blood on the Snow. They get to attack for 4 damage with Spellbinder a turn for the time being. I will not block. I would like to block with everything else. Oh, Sorin is a good draw. Oh, I like just making more life-linking blockers. That's the good stuff. So it's very difficult for the opponent to make profitable attacks here. But they kind of have to attack into Sorin because they can't let me start upticking that. If they attack with only one Spellbinder at this point, I'm willing to triple block it. They can't attack with Reidane. That's just too risky. Yeah, Gingerbrute can't be blocked. They can't attack with just one Spellbinder because the triple block on that is bad. They can attack with Spellbinder and Gingerbrute and a 1/1? Right, so this guarantees Sorin dies. And I think this gives me blocks like this. My Sorin dies, their Trample Spellbinder dies. I gain 6 life and lose 1, 2, 3. I believe this to be ideal. Up to 20 life. We continue making land drops. No attacks. Alright. 2 land away from Blood on the Snow. My snow land's tapped, so that does make this harder. They can attack with Elite Spellbinder. Most of their other attacks are pretty bad. Well, they can attack with Gingerbrute no matter what. Clarion Spirit. Alright. A lot of 1/1s. At this point, if we ever find Meathook Massacre, we just win. You can't attack with the Reidane. I did block Spirit, Spirit. I took 3 damage, and we drew Meathook Massacre. Cool. I assume I'm supposed to kill Reidane. Is there a world in which I leave them with Reidane to keep my 2/3s around? It's definitely awkward that my stuff costs more, but having 2 2/3s might... I'm worried about what happens if they have exactly another Reidane, I guess. No, I'm probably supposed to kill the Reidane anyway. I don't think Reidane kills me fast enough for me to possibly play around second Reidane here when they have 1 card in hand. Ooh, if they make this block, I actually get to keep a 2/3. This is the worst possible block they could make against Meathook Massacre. They should be reading me as having a board wipe here for having attacked at all. Okay, that block's good. Or at least it's as good as literally any other block except blocking with Reidane. Oh, I guess they get to draft a card, huh? I don't even know what's in that card. Good game, you say? Maybe. I mean, you could still have another Reidane opponent. Admittedly, I have a lot of life, but I have a lot of life. I guess if Divine Visit... Oh, they drafted that. Right. I was gonna say, that seems like a interesting card. I should have discovered the formula first in case we had a spell land to put into play tapped. What is this? What are more tokens would be created under your control? Creature tokens are 4/4 angels instead. Okay, sure. More discover the formulaing, and then we Sorin for 2. Have you seen enough Sorins yet, opponent? Because I want to keep playing more Sorins. I'm having a lot of fun casting Sorins. Sahakabi. Yeah. No. Sahakbabi? Sahakbabi, I'm gonna guess. Thanks for following. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Curving Sorin the Mirthless into Divine Visitation would be kind of fun. I guess they'd lose the lifelink then, though. So never mind, that's not actually good. Oh, we're playing. GG's. Oh yeah. Let's see. You didn't have mana up, right? If you had had enough mana up for Guardian, I probably would have had a Meathook Massacre for only 2. But then all the stuff doesn't die. I guess I have a Meathook Massacre in play at that point. Let's see. What did my next draws end up being? I can't say what my next draws ended up being because I cast a bunch of Discover the Formulas. Which is what found the Sorin in the first place. I think I probably can afford to uptick the Sorin instead of just down-ticking it at this point. Yeah, I'm thinking if there was enough mana to represent Guardian of Faith, I think I just cast the Meathook for 2 and don't kill the Raydane, which does make life hard. But then the Guardian of Faith happens, the Guardian of Faith dies, nothing else dies. I don't know whether the Meathook Massacre triggers on their own would have been enough to stabilize at that point, but it would have been kind of close with still having the 2/2/3 vampires. The game would have gone on for a lot of turns at the very least, I think. Yeah, we'll just discover the formula at the end of turn. I think it was the game just the turn before. Phasing out creature tokens works well, right? Like, they don't disappear like when you blink them. Do you think Temur Ramp will ever be viable again anytime soon? Seems like current power levels from 2 to 4 CMC makes ramping not worth. It also kind of hurts that we lack a good ramp spell like Growth Spiral. Growth Spiral was a heck of a card. And in the context of Historic, where we do have Growth Spiral, the power level of most of the cards isn't there. I don't think the Temur Ramp will never be good again, but I do think that right now it seems like that's just not where the power level of cards is at. I was messing around with a lot of Temur Ramp lists, but it turned out that, like, currently Izzet is just as good at ramping as Temur, so there's no reason to be Temur. You just don't need to stretch your mana base. Yeah, phasing does not leave the battlefield. How do I actually attack here? I guess I just start divide by zeroing stuff. And getting Mascot Exhibition. I got too many cards to count my mana. I'm going to let auto tap count for me. Oh, I had a bunch of Geistchannelers I could have played that would have made that Mascot Exhibition cheaper. Dang. One, two, three. Yeah, it would have been close. Get rid of the expensive Lier. Three, six. One, two. Alright, might have lethal here? Maybe. I admit to having not done the math yet. Nine, 12, 16. Yes, I believe this is lethal, if I'm capable of math. Fading up on top helps. I need 4 mana. I think I have exactly enough to do this. Which is to say, attack with everything, and then Meathook Massacre my own board for lethal. It's so hard to pick cards. Oh, it had a cost discount too, so I had more than enough. I guess the blue spells in Alchemy that make things perpetually cheaper is kind of the new ramp. Yeah, if you're playing Lier, I think that ends up being ramp in a very effective way. But also, even in the context of Standard, the fact that you already want to be playing Galvanic Iteration because it synergizes with so many other cards in Standard means that you're basically just like the combo with Unexpected Windfall and Galvanic Iteration is the best ramp you can be playing, pretty much, because it's also card advantage. So like the percentage of your deck that's taken up by cards that only ramp is not as much of a penalty as it is for other ramp decks, because all of your ramp is also sort of card draw.